I'd like to say that when looking at the hygienic design or hygienic principles within drainage, we must first take into consideration that drainage is still often overlooked in these facilities of these end users, these companies that are producing food. Albeit food safety is at the top of their priority list, drainage is not. So we've added on to our approach with such organizations in discussing first what we like to call drainage prerequisites. And these drainage prerequisites include initially the accessibility of drainage. So if a drain is not accessible, it is not easily maintained. If it is accessible, if it's not placed underneath some type of equipment, far back in the corner, something placed on top of it, then it'll be more likely that someone will take the effort to maintain it. And if it's maintained, then it has a lot more longer lifespan as well. There's less likelihood of some sort of risk, potential risk involved, such as cross-contamination or microbiological issues. The second prerequisite is proper retention of a drain. If the planning that goes into the entire process of how the production is run and the drainage is not taken into consideration, the retentions may not be properly specified, we could call it, and then you're going to either have a lot of backflow coming back from the sewage systems because you're having large amounts of water being flushed down into that drainage, or you're going to have very unhappy employees walking around in a small puddle all day long with boots up to their knees, as it were, which I would say both are probably should be on the priority list, and from a health and safety perspective as well, this is also an issue. The third prerequisite, we would like to call it, is the proper interface between the drainage and the flooring. And we see this is oftentimes the first aspect of the entire environment that faults is the connection between the drain and the flooring. So when discussing directly with a flooring company and a drainage company, understanding how that interface is of importance, getting it right the first time, whether it be taking into consideration the dynamic loading that is involved within the facility, or the thermal loading that's involved in the facility, the temperatures in which they're actually conducting their cleaning processes as well. And the last of the four prerequisites is of course health and safety. So you want to make a safe environment for your employees to work in. At the same time, you want to make a safe environment to produce the food. And once the food is produced, and there's no cross-contamination, and it's produced by those entities that are on a daily basis working there, taking into consideration the supplies that are used to produce the food, the equipment that they're produced on, and those that are conducting this process, and harmonizing all of that, then you get a more smooth process, and the health and safety aspects are conducted more wisely. When taking those four prerequisites into consideration, we can only then step to the next phase, which is hygienic drainage. If you don't initially have these implemented, then you're not going to have hygienic drainage. So you can't jump from what you currently have with potential issues directly to hygienic drainage. So then after you have all of these initial criteria in place, running smoothly, we can then look more closely at what are the aspects of hygienic design in drainage, which is using a minimum of 304 grade stainless steel. When it's welded, to then return it back to its initial state by using pickle passivation or some sort of surface treatment, as it were. At the same time, with the welding, to use butt-to-butt or continuous welding to make sure that there's no areas for potential buildup of these bacteria. And then finally, to say that the drainage is easily maintained. So as I mentioned before, if it's not put underneath some sort of equipment or tucked away, it can be accessed, but also it goes into consideration. By accessing it, it means you can pull out the grating very easily. It's not going to cut someone's hand when they're maintaining it. You can pull out the foul air trap and then access the drainage to see if there's an issue there, and then maintain it and clean it properly. So And last but not least, to look at the cleanability of the drainage. And this takes into perspective the minimum of 3 millimeter radii within the drainage for easy cleanability. When looking into working alongside a drainage expert, you must look at the fact that the drainage expert who are producing the drainage, they're not merely producing a product, they are there as a support system when it comes to the right specification, the right layouts of the facility, and then getting that technical support in the end if there is some issue that goes wrong during the construction of the facility.